The locket stayed on my desk, but the humming never did. It returned weeks later, sharper now, almost a voice. My parents heard nothing. They said I was stressed about college applications. But I saw the way my mother glanced at the basement door when she thought I wasn't looking. Winter came early that year. Frost etched patterns on the windows like skeletal fingers. The cold spots came back, but darker, thicker. They pooled in corners and trailed me upstairs. One morning, I found my breath hanging in the air of my bedroom. The thermostat read 70 degrees. Grandpa's old toolbox sat in the garage untouched since his death. Inside, I found a map of the property folded into a grease-stained envelope. The woods behind the house were marked with a red X near the river. The date scribbled beside it matched Eleanor's last photo, October 17, 1932. I waited until the snow thawed to hike there. The river churned with melted ice. The rock where I'd found the locket was slick with moss. The X on the map pointed to a cluster of birch trees. Their trunks were scarred with initials I didn't recognize, all but one, E+M, Eleanor and Margaret. Beneath the trees, the ground dipped into a shallow ditch. A patch of earth looked disturbed even after decades. I dug with frozen hands until my nails hit metal. A tin box corroded shut. Inside was a bundle of letters tied with ribbon. The first was addressed to Margaret. They say she's gone, but I hear her at night. She cries under my window. Father says I'm imagining things. Please believe me. The signature was smudged. The next letters detailed searches in the woods, sightings of a pale figure near the river. The final note was a single line, "They're burying her things in the garden tonight." I raced home. The garden was Grandma's pride. She grew roses every summer, but one patch never bloomed. The soil there was always loose. I grabbed a shovel from the garage. Mom caught me mid-dig. Her face drained of color. "Stop." Her voice shook. "You don't understand what you're doing." "Then explain it," I said. She hesitated. "Your grandmother, she had rules. Some places weren't meant to be disturbed." "Because of Eleanor?" Mom flinched. "There were others. Things I wasn't allowed to ask about." She pulled me inside and shut the door. That night she slid a photo under my bedroom door, a family portrait I'd never seen. Grandma and Grandpa stood stiffly beside a woman I didn't recognize. Her face was scratched out. A baby slept in her arms. The cold spots spread. My breath fogged the air as I slept. The girl in white returned in my dreams, but now she wasn't alone. A woman stood behind her in a faded blue dress, her arms outstretched. Her mouth was sewn shut with black thread. I found the sewing box in Grandma's closet. Beneath spools of thread was a tiny pair of scissors stained with rust. The initials ER were engraved on the handle, Eleanor's. That night the humming became a scream. It came from the walls. I followed it to the kitchen. The tiles were cracked near the sink. A hidden panel swung open when I pressed it. Inside was a room no bigger than a coffin. Dust rained down as I crawled in. A single light bulb dangled from the ceiling. The walls were covered in charcoal drawings. Stick figures of a girl and a woman. A river. A grave. Words scrawled over and over, "Let me out." Beneath the drawings was a small bed frame bolted to the floor. Chains hung from the posts. I vomited in the sink. When I looked up, the woman in blue stood behind me. Her stitched mouth twitched. She pointed to the garden. I woke Mom and demanded the truth. She crumpled onto the couch. "Eleanor wasn't the only one who disappeared," she said. "There was a cousin, Clara. She came to live with them during the war. Grandma said she left, but what?" A neighbor claimed she saw Clara in the window years later. Well, then, Dad said it was nonsense. The next morning the garden froze over. Ice encased the dead rose bushes. I brought a pickaxe to the barren patch. Mom didn't stop me. The bones were small, a child's, curled in the fetal position. A blue hair ribbon clung to the skull. Police arrived with shovels and questions. They found a second skeleton beneath the porch, an adult female. Black thread coiled around her ribcage. If you're enjoying these spine-tingling tales and want more chilling adventures, hit that subscribe button and bell, turn on notifications. Your support keeps the stories coming.